For 10,000 years, the Dominion had ruled the galaxy with absolute power. They were ancient beings, tall and elegant, with silver skin that shimmered like starlight. Their technology was beyond anything other species could dream of. Their warships could destroy entire planets with a single blast. Their armies numbered in the billions. Every known civilization in the galaxy had fallen before them, becoming nothing more than servants and slaves. They believed they were gods. They called themselves the Eternal Ones. They had conquered over 300 species across thousands of star systems. Some races they kept as workers, others they used for entertainment. A few they simply erased from existence because they found them annoying. They had never known defeat. They had never felt fear. They had forgotten what it meant to struggle. When their scouts first discovered Earth, they laughed. The small blue planet orbited an ordinary yellow star in an unremarkable corner of the galaxy. The creatures living there called themselves humans. They had only recently learned to travel between stars. Their ships were slow and primitive. Their weapons were laughable. Their population was small compared to the great empires they had crushed before. High Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the images of Earth on his screen. He saw the cities, the oceans, the green forests. He saw the humans going about their simple lives. He smiled with contempt. "Another species to add to our collection," he said to his officers. "Send the standard message. They have one solar cycle to surrender completely. If they refuse, we will demonstrate our power." The message was sent. It arrived on Earth and caused immediate chaos. World leaders gathered in emergency meetings. Scientists studied the alien transmission. Military commanders prepared for the worst. But something strange happened, something they had never seen before. Humanity did not panic. They did not beg. They did not surrender. Instead, they sent back a simple reply. It said only 3 words: "Come and try." Was confused at first, then amused. In all his centuries of conquest, no species had ever responded with such foolish defiance. He decided to make an example of these humans. He would personally lead the invasion fleet. He would crush them so completely that other species would remember the lesson for generations. The fleet arrived in Earth's solar system 1 month later. 300 warships, each one the size of a small moon. 10 million soldiers ready for battle. Weapons that could crack planets like eggs. Was certain the invasion would be over within hours. The first surprise came when they reached the outer planets. Hidden among the asteroids and moons were thousands of small human ships. They were not warships. They were mining vessels, cargo haulers, and civilian transports. But the humans had armed them with everything they had: missiles, lasers, even nuclear weapons. They laughed and opened fire. Their superior weapons destroyed hundreds of human ships in seconds. But the humans did not retreat. They kept coming. They flew their damaged ships directly into the vessels. They crashed themselves against the enemy shields. They fought with a ferocity that they had never witnessed. "What is wrong with these creatures?" asked. "Do they not understand they cannot win?" One of his officers studied the data with growing concern. "High Commander, they are aware of their disadvantage. They continue fighting anyway. Our psychological profiles cannot explain this behavior." The battle for the outer solar system lasted 3 days. They won, of course. They destroyed 90% of the human defense force, but they had lost 17 warships. 17 ships against primitive opponents. It was unacceptable. It was impossible. No species had ever destroyed even 1 warship during first contact. Pressed forward toward Earth. He was angry now. He wanted this over quickly. The second surprise waited for them near Mars. The humans had placed thousands of automated defense platforms in orbit around the red planet. But these were different from the weapons they had seen before. The humans had been studying the debris from destroyed ships. In just weeks, they had begun reverse engineering the alien technology. The defense platforms fired weapons that actually damaged shields. Not much, but enough to slow the fleet. Enough to cost them more ships. enough to make feel something he had not felt in 300 years. Doubt. He pushed the feeling aside and ordered a full assault. They broke through the Mars defense line after 2 more days of fighting. They lost another 28 ships. Their proud fleet of 300 was now down to 255. But Earth was finally before them, prepared for the final victory. The humans had spent every moment since first contact preparing for this day. They knew they could not defeat the in open battle, so they did not try. Instead, they used the one advantage they had discovered. They were arrogant. They believed they were invincible. They never expected anyone to truly resist them, and they had never faced an enemy that fought without any care for survival. As the fleet approached Earth, they detected strange readings from the planet's surface. Massive energy signatures were building in locations all around the world. Ordered his ships to target these locations immediately. He was too late. The humans had built something in the weeks since first contact. They called it Project Prometheus. It was a network of massive cannons, each one powered by a fusion reactor. The technology was crude compared to weapons, but the humans had done something they would never have considered. They had aimed the cannons at their own sun. The weapons fired simultaneously. Billions of tons of charged particles struck the sun's surface. The effect was immediate. The star released a massive solar flare, a wave of radiation and plasma that swept outward through the solar system. Human ships and stations were destroyed. The flare would cause damage to Earth that would take years to repair, but humans had prepared. They had built shelters. They had evacuated coastal cities. They were willing to hurt themselves to hurt their enemy. They were not prepared. Their shields were designed to block weapons fire, not solar radiation. Their ships had no protection against this kind of attack. 112 warships were destroyed in minutes. Another 60 were badly damaged. Stood on his bridge and watched his fleet die around him. He felt something cold spreading through his chest. He realized with horror what it was. Fear. Retreat, he screamed. All ships retreat. The surviving vessels fled to the edge of the solar system, tried to reorganize his forces, but the humans gave him no time. Small attack ships emerged from hiding places throughout the system. Suicide pilots flew directly into damaged vessels. Boarding parties attacked the weakened ships, fighting hand-to-hand in the corridors. The soldiers were taller, stronger, and better equipped, but they had never fought an enemy that was not afraid to die. They had never faced beings who would bite, scratch, and claw even after being shot multiple times. The humans fought like animals. They fought like demons. They fought like nothing they had ever seen. When finally escaped the human solar system, he had only 63 ships left. Nearly 80% of his fleet was gone. 2 million soldiers were dead. He had faced the most primitive species in his long career of conquest, and he had been humiliated. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. The Dominion had lost a battle. The Eternal Ones had been defeated. The impossible had happened. Slave species began to whisper. Subject worlds began to hope. The illusion of invincibility had been shattered forever. The Dominion sent a larger fleet to punish humanity. Humanity defeated it. They sent an even larger fleet. Humanity defeated that one too. Each battle cost the humans dearly. They lost millions of lives. They sacrificed entire colonies, but they never surrendered. They never stopped fighting. And with each battle, they grew stronger. They learned more. They improved their technology. They became deadlier. Within 10 years, humanity had pushed them out of their region of space. Within 20 years, they were leading a coalition of former slave species against the Dominion. Within 50 years, they were at the gates of The final battle was not a battle at all. The High Council, those ancient beings who had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, gathered to discuss their options. They had only two choices: continue fighting and be destroyed completely, or surrender and hope for mercy. They chose surrender. The human ambassador who accepted their surrender was a woman named Sarah. She was short and plain-looking. She had hair and wrinkled skin. She was nothing compared to the beautiful, immortal who knelt before her. But she spoke with a voice that carried the weight of all humanity. "You ruled this galaxy through fear," she said. "You believed that power alone made you great. You thought that because you could destroy, you deserved to command. You were wrong." The High Chancellor looked up at her. His silver face was twisted with shame. "What are you?" he asked. "What manner of creatures would sacrifice so much, endure so much pain just to resist us?" Sarah smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We are humans," she said. "We do not kneel, we do not surrender. We would rather burn our own world than let others rule it. That is what you never understood. You conquered species that wanted to live. We are a species that would rather die free than live as slaves. And that made us more dangerous than you could ever imagine." The war was over. The galaxy was free. But the universe had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity was small. Humanity was young. Humanity was fragile in so many ways, but inside every human heart burned a fire that could not be extinguished. A stubborn, relentless, furious determination to be free, to fight, to survive, to win against any odds. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had believed themselves to be gods, but they had never met humans before. They had never faced an enemy that would not stop, would not break, would not kneel. And in the end, the gods learned to fear the mortals. The masters learned humility from the slaves they had tried to claim. The Eternal Ones discovered that eternity meant nothing when faced with the burning will of humanity. The galaxy had new leaders now. They were not the strongest, they were not the oldest, they were not the most advanced, but they were the most determined. They were the most stubborn. They were the most unwilling to accept defeat. They were human. And the stars themselves would learn to respect that name.